want to know how to teach kids the value of money? Well, kids do need to learn how to take care of their money and how to value it. And I'm Nicholeen Peck. I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, child development. In this video, we're talking about helping children value money. In this video, we're going to be talking about why it's important that people learn to value money, even though money isn't the most important thing, and then key things you can do to help your child learn to value money too. Let's just face it, we live in a really entitled society. The more affluent a society gets, the more they demand things. The more money seems to just be about things they want instead of something that they have to earn or that somebody else has to earn. So I'm from the United States of America, and in the United States, there is this thing called the American dream. The American dream says that you can work as hard as you want and you can change your whole life in your lifetime. You can go from rags to riches in no time with your work. Now, that type of a work ethic is what has made the United States of America the country it is today, or at least was some generations past. I have to say, I think we're losing a little bit of that, getting tainted with some of the entitlement that comes with affluent living. Well, anyway, when a person learns that they have to work to better themselves, then they always end up valuing the labor. Did you know that if you don't value money, you don't value labor and you don't value work? The two of those things are interconnected. So teaching your child to work is going to be one of the primary things that you do to teach them to value money. So how do you teach your child to work? Well, I have videos on this channel all about work and instilling a work ethic in your children. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on that, but I will say work with them, allow them to work alone. Don't be afraid of work. In fact, work is the number one thing that builds confidence in your children. So remember that. And remember that as they learn to work, they learn to trust in themselves to care for themselves. They also learn that they can make money. So if you just hand out money all the time to a child, that doesn't help them value it. They have to have the opportunity to earn it. Parents try all kinds of things to help their children have money. Some parents will do allowance and they say, okay, well, if you do your chores, you get this much money at the end of the week. And so then it's like the child earned the money for the chores. Just to be clear, I don't actually like that approach. And the reason why is because I feel like my children should do work around the house because they live here. And so that would promote entitlement. They wouldn't do any work unless they did get money for it. And so then they would not develop as great of a work ethic and everything would be about themselves and what they get out of it. So here's the thing. To truly value money, you have to value what it can do and who it's for. Now, historically, and we're talking old days, the people who managed the money the most were who? The men in society. Now, I'm not trying to do a man-woman debate here, but that's just how it was back in the old days. Ladies managed the stuff at home. They had some money at their discretion, but not as much as the guys did because they were running a lot of the bigger money ticket items, you know, and running the crops for the family and stuff like that. Okay, so the guy, when he's running the money, he is looking at his family and he's going, okay, I've got to be able to feed all of those people. So he is not working his fingers to the bone just for himself because one guy could live off, not that much. But when you've got a family, when you've got a wife, when you've got somebody else that you feel like you need to care for, that's actually why you're willing to do the work for the money. So if money is only about yourself, what you get out of it, then you're actually missing the boat. Money is about what you can do for the people you love because you have it. The philanthropist is always the happiest. He's able to give the money to other people, just no strings attached, because he loves them, because he wants to. Or I should say she too, let's not leave the girls out. I like philanthropic work. So why wouldn't we teach our children that money is for their family? Money is for the group. Money is something that we need to be working on so that we can take care of our responsibilities, have our obligations met. Now, this doesn't mean that I believe that all money is communal, okay? Because I don't. I do think that when we go down that direction, especially with the wrong people at the helm, you're going to have communism every single time, and I'm not a big fan of communism. So I do believe that each individual does need to earn their money, and, as far as unless they're providing for a family, in which case, yeah, one head of household could earn money for, the other people in the household. But we definitely need to keep in mind that each person has the ability to earn it. So work and valuing money are very closely linked. We're going to talk about strategies and things you can do to set up in your home to help your children love work and earn money and learn the value of that too. But first, you see that subscribe button. Click the subscribe button now and you will get to see more video content like this. New videos come out every day and you're not going to want to miss, so subscribe now. So in our family, I always gave the children opportunity to earn money, but they had to apply for a job. So I wasn't going to say, hey, could you do this and then I'll pay you this? Nope. I said, okay, if anyone ever wants to earn money, so they all had their daily chores. We had family work that we did, and then they had their daily chores that they did. And in our family, if they earn a negative consequence, that's usually also an extra chore. So no big deal. My children really have no problem doing work. They can do it at any time. But then I said, okay, you know what? If anyone wants to earn money, I've got this list, and I'm going to make a list of jobs that you can apply for. And then there's going to be a dollar amount out to the side of each of those jobs. So you can come to me and say, Mom, I'd like to earn some money. Can I apply for a job? And then I would say, yes, you can. And so then they would say, well, I think I want to apply to clean out the refrigerator. That one's a yucky one. It takes all the scrubbing of the bins and all that stuff, and you got to organize the food and get rid of the old food and all that kind of stuff. And so I would say, okay, so when do you plan on having that accomplished? And they would say, well, I'm going to do it this afternoon, and so I'll probably have it done by like 4 o'clock. Okay, that's perfect, because at 5 o'clock we have to start making dinner, and we need all that food back in the fridge in order to start cooking dinner, because we can't have it out on the counters, right? So anyway, then I would say, all right, well, come and check back to me when it's done, and then you can get paid. So then they would go and get it done by the time that they said they would get it done, and then they would get paid by that time. Now, if they did not meet their timeline, then they would have to come and talk to me about, well, it's going to take me a little bit longer, or this is what's happening and why I'm not done yet. They needed to show responsibility for that. And then after they had that money in hand, then finally they could see, wow, I just had to I had to apply for a job. I had to get it done on time. I had to be accountable to somebody else. And then I finally got my money. Now that money is worth something. So now I'm going to talk to my children about what are they going to do with their money. So I might suggest to them, hey, this is what my dad suggested to me, because he read us a book when we were young called The Richest Man in Babylon. And he said, you should save half. While you're young, save half of everything you have, and then you can use the other half. But of that money that you have, you're going to give 10% to God, because we're a tithing family. You're going to give 10% to God, then you're going to give 50% to the bank or to yourself, right? And then that means you are left with 40% that you can do something with. And now you've got to decide, do you have any upcoming expenses like birthday presents to buy for friends, or, or Christmas presents or anything like that, or you want souvenirs on a trip? And so then you've got to decide that too. So he would talk us through all of it. And my parents did not bail us out of our financial needs. They didn't buy all of our clothes and everything else. Once we hit a certain age, like age 12, we got the opportunity to do that. And I did the same thing for my children. I thought it would be the greatest blessing for them if they could understand the value of their own clothing, because that also teaches them the value of money. So yeah, for their birthdays and Christmas, they were asking for underwear, socks, and new shoes, and to them that was exciting. They're like, yes, I needed some new socks, and we'd get them the good ones, of course. Anyway, and so that's what they wanted, because they had to earn the money. If they didn't ask for it for a gift and get it for a gift, they had to earn the money. They valued those things. They took care of their things because of that. And that's what comes with working, getting your money, budgeting your money, and then also having to provide for a certain amount of your own experiences. If my child wanted to go to a camp, like a big expensive camp, I know that my children had these camps they wanted to go to. They were like $250. They were like youth, like especially for youth camps that they were going to. They had to save their own money and do it. And so they were stocking it away so that they could go to that special camp with their friends for a whole week in the summer. They were so excited about it. Could I have paid for it? Yes. Did I one year for Christmas? Yes. But it was a Christmas gift. So they valued it all the more because it was their main Christmas gift. Sure, you can give them everything. We live in a society where we have so much at our fingertips, and it is an affluent society. But if you want your children to value money, they have to go without and they have to work for stuff. They have to see that if they don't provide something for themselves, that they won't have it. That's important. And an affluent society has a hard time teaching that lesson because everybody gives everybody anything they don't have. Oh, you can't play soccer? Oh, I'll pay for you to play soccer too. But wait a minute. It's okay if we don't play soccer for 1 year. If we can learn that having that soccer lesson has a value. So we need to be careful about that. Teaching children the value of money changes their life. They become more mature, they work harder, and they appreciate the things that they have. If you've enjoyed this video, I know that you are going to love my next video, which is actually called The Not So Known Secret for Parenting Success. So click on the link to that video now, and I'll see you there.